Hello, my dear friends. Rebelliously Fulfilled. I almost forgot the new name. It's been months. Rebelliously Fulfilled Entrepreneurs. I'm super happy to be here live with you. And if you're live, let me know. Say hi. I definitely want to know that you're here. And we can absolutely make this a conversation. I would love to know your thoughts, your comments, your feedback as we go. Hopefully I can see your comments. Sometimes I can and sometimes I can't. So if you're live and you say hi, I would be so grateful. And if you're watching on the replay, let me know that as well. Let me know how this lands with you. Let me know what thoughts pop up when you watch this. Okay, I'm going to go in here to a better view so that I can see you guys. And I do want to just share one thing. And that is I am changing the way that I share this. So I go live here every week inside this group at the same time. And what I've found is in the last couple of weeks, I guess the settings in Facebook are changing as they always do. And I'm not always able to invite everyone. So normally I set up an event in the group and I invite everybody in the group and you can join or not, and it sends you a notification. Love that. But it's not always working. And so I didn't even do it this week. So I apologize for those of you who would have wanted to catch me live today. But I am changing the way that I do this. And so stay tuned. If you're looking for an event, you can't find it. If you know that you want to join me live at any given point in time, it is this time. For me, it is normally 2 o'clock. So that makes it 3 Eastern, noon Pacific every Wednesday. So with very, very, very few exceptions. So if you know already that you want to try to make a live or you want to make some of them, you can just make a note for yourself in your calendar. I am going to continue to look for new ways to share this information. I do not want to tag everyone in the group. I don't really like that vibe. So anyway, stay tuned. If you have a suggestion or if your team has a suggestion, let me know. And I will play around with this, and thank you for your flexibility. And patience. Okay, I'm just double checking. Yes, I do seem to be live. Okay, but none of that is what we're here to talk about today. I actually have some valuable knowledge, information to share, and I'm kind of excited about this one and sort of trusting the universe actually, because had I put out an event last week for today's live, it would have been on a different topic. And I got a really beautiful idea today for a metaphor that I think is a good one to share. And there's several little lessons underneath this metaphor. So I want to share those things with you today. And I got this idea this morning, sitting on my balcony, watching the ocean, drinking my coffee, and doing my normal quiet time. Sometimes I meditate, sometimes I journal, sometimes I write content, and something popped in my head and I started writing the notes for this live. So maybe that's why. Okay. What we are here to talk about today. I want to talk about how do I even want to start? What we're talking about today is really it's a metaphor, and I may take it too far, but it's a metaphor for the way to think about yourself as a business owner and the way to think about how you run your business. And I think it's just kind of so oftentimes what I find when I get my head wrapped around something around my business or a problem I'm trying to solve or something that's just not feeling right. And I see this so often with my clients is we got to just kind of go back to basics. We can way overcomplicate, add in too much anxiety, spin on something and make it into a bigger problem in our minds than it actually is. And so what I find so often as a coach, those of you who are coaches probably do this as well. But I think other service providers bring their clients back to basics, kind of come back down to the root of the problem or come back down to the heart of the matter. And that's why I'm sharing this sort of lesson today, this training, this concept in metaphorical terms, because I think it just makes it so much easier to go back to basics, go back to basics, go back to basics. And then you can solve the right problems in your business. Then you can take the right actions in your business. Then you can sort of recognize where you are in whatever phase of business you're in, or whatever phase or evolution your work is in, and just kind of get back to what do I need to do right now? Or what do I need to not do right now? So that's a lot of preface with, we're going to use, I'm actually going to have to move. So I brought props today. I think this is the first time I've ever used a prop in my lives. And I'm just going to change the screen here so that I can make sure you can see me. Okay. So we have plant number 1 and plant number 2, which is much bigger and heavier. And I want to show you actually the detail in plant number 2, and hopefully it won't leak on me, because plant number 2, if you can't tell, these plants need a name, is outgrowing his or her pot like there's no tomorrow, right? Can you see all of those little, this used to be one plant, and now it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I count at least 6 just quickly right now. So let's talk about plant number 2 actually first. So if you're already like, stay with me on this metaphor because it can be a little silly, but again, I think it's such a great place to just kind of go back and ask yourself the question of, if my business was a plant, what would it look like? And what does it need from me? Super simple, super basic. We know that plants need light, but we also know that some plants need a lot of light. Some plants need partial sun. Some plants just need indirect sun. Some plants can live in your house. Plants need water. Some plants you need to water every day. Some plants you need to water once a week or once a month. My orchids in San Francisco, I used to water, indirectly. I would spray them and then put water underneath the pot as opposed to pouring water in the pot. Other plants, we want to pour a bunch of water in them every single day, right? So the way that you even water, like every plant needs water and sunlight, and I would argue a little bit of love, but, and the right, like, let's say soil or, environment to be planted in. They all need different things, right? So point number 1 is, if you've been in my world for any period of time, I'm really, really big on running your business on your own damn terms, running your business your way. And it's not because, well, okay, maybe a tiny little bit of you is a rebel like me and you just want to effing do it your own way and not listen to anybody else. And there's value in that. And there's a way that we can get in our own way around that. But it's not really for that purpose. It's because you are unique and so is your business. And even though there are probably lots of people that do the work that you do-ish, right? Like there's lots of mindset and business coaches out there, but the people that I serve and the way that I do it and the way that I want to run my business behind the scenes is vastly different than all the other coaches out there. And so we all have slightly different business models. And even those people who have a similar business model to me still run their businesses differently because it has to match you. If you want to create something that's sustainable, that lights you up, and do work in your zone of genius and impact the world in your own unique way and make a shit ton of money, like it's got to be done on your own terms. And my way is not going to work for everybody, just like your way isn't going to work for everybody. So all of that is to say, right, we're going to just start with, if your plant is a business and we're acknowledging that all plants need different things. One of the things I want to share with you today is this concept of like, what does your business need now? Because what your business needed when it was a little seed and it was just a pot and there was nothing here is very different than what your business needs now, when maybe it's actually like overflowing. And this is a good problem to have, but ultimately this plant here is overflowing so much and has grown so much that if I don't take care of what it needs from me now, what's going to happen to it next, right? It's probably not going, I've already noticed that it's slowed its growth. It was basically, okay, I'm going to backtrack. But let me just finish that. So what's going to happen to it next? We all know, right? they're going to start competing for the nutrients and the sun and the water that I'm giving it, because I'm giving it actually the same amount of water, the same amount of sun. It's sitting in the same soil that it was sitting in when I planted it, however many months ago. And these little guys are going to start competing, and only some are going to survive. And so what's going to happen is I'm going to end up with some dried out brown, yellow plant leaves here at some point, right? That's the next path. If I change nothing in my plant caring strategy, that's what's going to happen next. Okay. Right now it looks beautiful, but it doesn't have any space to grow. Ding, ding, ding. Metaphor for your business. Are you creating space for your business to grow? And that growth is whatever is right for you and your business at this time. Some people are in a space where they really want to grow financially, right? So maybe you have this business and you've got all these things that you're trying to accomplish and that you are accomplishing, all these clients you're managing. So many people come to me when they first start working with me and they say like, okay, I've got the business, right? I have it. I have the clients, I'm doing the things, but I'm so tired and so overworked, and I'm spinning my wheels just to keep what I've grown, to keep what I've built, that I'm exhausted. And I'm spending all the extra money that I'm making in revenue on a team because that's all I can do. And so my take home is the same. My profit is the same or lower. I'm exhausted. There's too many hours. There's not enough hours in the day. I've got too much on my plate. I'm spinning my wheels. Even though I love my work, even though I love my clients, even though I built this business, I somehow have a 9-to-5 job that I created after I already left my 9-to-5 job and created this business, right? I have had moments where I felt like that, and phases in my business where I felt like that too. Wait a minute. I wanted to create a business on my own terms so that I could do what I did yesterday, which is go diving in the morning on a Tuesday. I worked in the afternoon, but I've created space in my calendar for these moments that I wanted to be able to have my own calendar, to manage my own time, right? And at the same time, it doesn't really matter if I go diving on a Tuesday morning if I'm working all weekend and missing out on seeing friends because I took that Tuesday morning, right? So this is a spaciousness kind of concept, right? Of spending your time where you want. And so many of us built a business on our own terms, wanted to run our own business, not only because of the work, just the nature of the work made sense to create a business around it, but also because we wanted that autonomy, we wanted that freedom, we wanted that creative lifestyle where we could say, okay, I'm going to take a Friday off. I'm going to do this because I can, because I'm the business owner, because I'm in charge of my own life. And so many people I talk to are kind of like, yeah, well, I blew past that. And now I just have too many people and too much this and too much that. And I'm getting in my own way. So if this is you, if this plant feels like you, this message is for you today, but also this is for you no matter where you are in business, no matter what phase you're in, because there's so many lessons around this that I could just talk ad nauseum. So I'm going to actually back up. In terms of my little story, so I don't know, 6 months ago, maybe a year ago now, I noticed that every plant I brought home just ended up dying fairly quickly. And I even had a friend joke to me, but also she was serious. It was actually very helpful suggestion. She was like, maybe you need to start with stuff that grows in rocks, right? Like maybe you need to start with something small, something that's easy to take care of and get some confidence and learn a little something again about growing plants. And then you can advance to, putting things in pots and things that grow in dirt. And one of the things that I noticed I was saying to myself at that time was, oh my God, like I'm a plant killer. I do not have a green thumb. I this, I that. I told people about that, right? And I kept noticing how I was failing in the plant area of my life. And what I noticed actually at one point was, hold on a minute. So I live on a little island in the Caribbean, but I used to live in San Francisco before I moved here. And when I was in San Francisco, I was actually a really successful gardener or plant grower, indoor plant. I always had indoor plants there. I was really successful with my plants, and I had a lot of orchids, and I was really proud of that because people say that orchids are really hard to maintain. But in San Francisco, I think the environment is really, really well set up for that. And I got a couple of tips from a neighbor, and I really enjoyed playing around and experimenting and learning about how to keep my orchids going. And yes, I had a couple die, but like most of them really flourished and grew. And I used to actually buy myself, forgot about this. I used to buy myself an orchid every time something important happened. So like I'd buy myself an orchid for my birthday, and I'd buy myself an orchid every time I signed a new client or whatever, and add to my collection. And so again, using this as a mindset, as a metaphor for business, where are you being like me in the way that you see yourself as a business owner, right? What words are you saying to yourself around how you run your business, about how good you are at what you do, not necessarily at your craft, but at that role behind the scenes as a business owner, somebody who has to make sales, somebody who creates marketing, somebody who sits down and supports clients, all of these things, looking at your revenue numbers, looking at, a lot of people are going through the tax process right now, right? Looking at last year's numbers and looking at that from the perspective of being a business owner, and making decisions based on those numbers, and making decisions around, what you want to do, change, keep, etc. And so notice where you are like me, a year ago, saying, I'm not a very good indoor plant grower. I'm not good at plants. Plants on my watch die, right? Like, what are the words you're saying to yourself around being a business owner? And where can you give yourself some grace and space around that? And also, where can you build your intentions for the year? Where can you build your confidence around it? Because the truth is, when I was telling myself that I wasn't good at growing plants, I also kind of didn't care. Like, it wasn't something I had set out to do that year, and I kind of didn't care, right? And so was the result, right? My mindset was, I'm not a good plant grower, and I would sort of half-assedly get a plant every now and then, but not really give it any love, not really pay attention to it, not do a very good disciplined job of putting it somewhere where I would remember to water it, remember to note, figure out where the best sun placement was. I was kind of half-assing it. And not to say that anybody is necessarily half-assing their business, but if you aren't treating your business like a business, as some people say, if you aren't looking at yourself as a business owner and setting a clear intention around how you want to grow as a business owner, not just, I want to get more clients this year, I want to make more money. Won't that be nice if that happens? That's different than making a clear strategic decision, setting a clear, powerful decision that I am a plant grower. Just took on I'm an amazing gardener. I love plants and plants love me. I know how to keep plants alive and growing and flourishing and expanding and keep them beautiful. And I, right. I am a really solid business owner. I know how to make clear decisions. I trust my strategy to work for me. And I also trust myself to make a change or a tweak or an adjustment anytime I need to support my business, because my business is sustainable, because I know that I can run this business. I see all the confidence, or I see all the evidence that I have from my prior years of being in business. And I know that I can do this, and I am doing this, and I am a successful business owner. And I also know that I will keep growing and expanding my knowledge as a business owner, and keep growing my skills as a business owner, keep growing my decision-making skills as I go through this year. And it's my intention to X this year as a business owner. See the difference, right? Okay, hold on. I'm just going to see if I can check. I cannot see if you guys are commenting, so I apologize. I'll keep trying to pay attention to the comments if you're live. So number one, where is your mindset around you as a business owner? How are you evaluating yourself? And today's message is not about let's evaluate yourself, but it's about what are your intentions for yourself as a business owner. You can have goals, intentions, for your business this year, but make sure that also in there is something for you as a business owner. How are you going to become an even better business owner this year than you are right now? Okay. And so one of the things that I want to talk about is one of the things that I did when I shifted my plant growing skills, was I set an intention. I set an intention. I let some things die and I moved on from that. And then I said, you know what? I'm ready to be surrounded by plants. And I know that I am in a different environment. And so I have to learn, for me, the next level of growing plants, because I can't just rest on my laurels of what I learned in San Francisco, because so much of those skills are transferable, but so much of those skills are not transferable to my current environment. And it's time, I've just decided that this is what I'm going to do now. And so then with that clear intention, I actually started caring. I mean, I really do believe that just like our businesses, our plants need love, not just the light and the soil and the water. And so I shifted my perspective. I made a clear decision as a plant owner that I'm going to be successful at this. And I've been so successful that I got into a habit of watering, right? So this is your strategy. These are the actions that you take every day, every week, every month related to your business, the consistent actions that you just know make sense for you. You go to the networking meetings, you put out social media content, you write the blog, you do the video, you do all the things that you do that you know behind the scenes work for your business and for your strategy. So you water the plant based on the way the plant needs to be watered. You feed the plant if it needs some Miracle-Gro or whatever. You make sure it's in the right soil. You make sure it's in the right place for sun, right? All of those things we're doing with our business, and we're shifting our mindset and we're making decisions around, this is just what I'm going to do this year. And I'm being really clear and solid around it. And I'm knowing that I can build the skills that I need or take an action that I need to take to get to what I'm trying to create. I don't even like trying, what I'm creating. Okay, so now we shift into looking, I actually really would love, I think this is a brilliant journal exercise, if I do say so myself. If your business was a plant, what would it look like? What state would it be in? And then therefore, what does it need from you right now? Because it doesn't even matter where you want to go. I'm so big on having a big vision, setting clear intentions for the year and all of those things. And we do have to meet our plants, just like our businesses. We have to meet our businesses where we are now also, while also holding the vision for this plant to grow and thrive and flourish, right? For all the things you want to build and create next in your business. But what does your business need from you right now? Does it have a few straggly yellow leaves that just need to be plucked and let go so that the rest of what's there can continue to thrive? Do you need to do a better job? Are you forgetting to water it every week? The ones that need to be watered, right? So where can you make a shift in your action planning back to basics, just to meet your business where it is right now, based on what you have happening in your world? So I want to share a couple of examples that I've seen with clients and with people who come into my world, because I think these are some really common examples, and I think that I hope that this is helpful. So perhaps you're like me and you've made a shift in your business and you have a thriving business, you have things happening, but maybe you don't feel successful, or maybe you don't feel an overflow of cash because you're spending it on just running your business. I see so often, a lot of times people come to me looking for coaching because they say to me, like, Laura, I've built something here, but I'm so worn out and so overworked. And my team is even spinning their wheels, and I'm spending a lot of money on my team just so that we can keep our head above water. I'm treading water in some ways because I'm so successful, right? And a lot of people don't want to look at it like that. Another way to say it is, I've brought in clients to the point where I'm at max capacity, but I don't feel free. I feel chained to my desk. I feel that my personal life is suffering because I'm spending too much time at work. And I don't see a way out because I've sort of created this like scenario where I'm stuck. First off, there's ways to unravel that, and I'd love to support you in that. But this is, I think, one of those moments where sometimes businesses are outgrowing their pots. If you're trying to shove all of your clients, all of your work into this pot, clearly, I need to repot this guy, right? It was one little plant, one, shoot when I bought it. And to be honest, I had it on kind of a set it and forget it. I was taking care of it, but I wasn't really paying attention to it. And it grew so much in my head overnight, like in a way that I didn't notice track the growth. And then, oh my gosh, one day I'm like, holy cow, this thing is it's really grown. Like, look how successful I am, but I'm not actually supporting the plant right now in its current state. And I've noticed that its growth has really slowed. Know why? Because I stuck it in a really tiny pot. Better said, it's in an outdated container. Is your business in an outdated container? This happens so often. And the solution is not so oftentimes. I know you guys, I know I talk so much about making big changes and trusting yourself to do big things. And I'm all here for that. And I really stand for that in my life and my business. But sometimes the solution or the best next step for your business is not to burn it all down, is not to do anything other than look at this plant and say, oh my gosh, like, look what I've built. I have these successful plants that one turned into 6. I simply need a new container, or to keep with, I don't think this exists in plant world, but to keep with the container for a business, like sometimes your business container just needs to expand a little bit. We just need to create a little space so that each client has their own place with some space around it so that each one can grow. And so they're not so stuffed in there. And then they can continue to grow, because when you hit a ceiling in your growth, either financially, personally, with where you get to a point where you're maxed out, when you've hit capacity, sometimes hitting capacity is beautiful. I'm fully booked and I will just fill client spots when I have new people, when I have people leave, and I can just maintain that. And that doesn't necessarily mean that you're overbooked, overworked at max capacity. You're just fully booked in a way, I like to say happily full. You're just fully booked in a way that really serves you and your business right now. You have the time and space and energy to serve all the clients that you have. And you're not taking on new clients until you trade someone out, right? That's a very different vibe, right? If I replant these plants, and frankly, I need to decide, will they all go, like, am I going to get some big planter where they can all live together and have their own space to grow? Or similar strategy, same impact, but I might choose, based on my situation as a business owner, I may actually choose to plant all of these plants in their own separate container, bigger containers, so that they can grow, right? Same strategy in your business. Another business coach may choose to do 4 group programs a year and not do, or have 1 or 2, a handful of small one-on-one clients. Whereas I tend to focus most of my energy, all of my energy at this moment, on one-on-one and not run a group. Same, every strategy works. Create a container for your pot. It will grow, but you just need to create a container that gives it the space that's appropriate for the pot that you have. And I see so many people in their work feeling scrunched, or even just saying it's time for a slightly new pot, or I just want to expand my pot in their business. And they're looking to all these other people who run a similar business to them to pick the strategy. And the truth is, you have to pick the pot for the business that you have. The best way forward is the next best action for your business, not for someone else's. All pots lead to the same thing, But it's so much easier when you just meet your business where it is and you take the next step action and you trust yourself based on the like evidence and data that you have from all your past results to create your next pot and your next plant and to create that space. I have a online course that I'm going to be that I delivered last summer. It's still free here in the group if you can Google it and find it, called Creating Spaciousness in Your Schedule. And I'm going to turn that into a paid course here shortly. But this concept of like, how does your schedule feel if you have time for your life, if you have time for your kids, if you have time for yourself, and you have time for your clients? I think truthfully, that's what most people want. And you don't have to have 16 plants in one container or a shit ton of clients and working 50 hours a week or more in order to make the money that you want to make. There's lots of ways to be successful and flourish. Pick a pot that works for you. Okay, I'm just going to quickly check my notes because I want to make sure that I hit my main points. I've got one more for sure. Yeah. And so the other point I want to make about this successful pot is this pot is successful, but I don't think it's thriving, right? This pot has clients, this business has clients, but it's not necessarily thriving, or it's doing okay. I've peeled a few dried leaves off of it. But if I keep going with this much longer, I'm stifling its growth and somebody's going to die, to be really dramatic, right? One of these plants isn't going to make it. And so when I can get out ahead of it and pay attention to my business, this is why I love to work with my clients long-term I like to work with my clients long-term. And so many of them work with me for a year or more, because while people may be coming to me in the middle of a change or a shift or even a crisis or oh my God, Laura, I have to do things differently. We also don't have to wait until things are uncomfortable. We don't have to wait until things are quote unquote a problem to ask for help. And so oftentimes what I do with my clients, once we get past the initial reason that we started working together, is we just maintain the mindset. We just keep tweaking the mindset. We just keep adjusting the strategy, tiny little pieces at a time, making little adjustments to our team all along the way, so that we don't get into this space again, so that we can maintain a healthy plant in the right pot at all times. And that's what I feel this one is showing a much, let me adjust my screen so you can see. This one shows a much healthier situation. It actually does need a little support right now. But if you can see, hopefully you can see, like, it's not overflowing. It's going to be okay in this pot for a little bit longer. And it's mostly just growing up and not out. And so at some point, yes, I probably need to get it a slightly bigger pot. But the truth is, I don't know if you can see in the video, it's just a little wobbly actually, because it's grown so much straight up. What this business needs right now, what this plant just needs right now, is a little tweak. It's not in danger. It's doing great. And if I look at this as my business and I say, what does my business need right now? It's doing great. I want to acknowledge and honor that it's doing great. And I also want to say, like, it's okay that this thing is wiggling, wobbling. But if I allow it to keep growing and not give it that next little level support, like, honestly, all I probably need to do is just put a little bit more soil at the base and build it up a little bit to hold it more still, or maybe even stick some rocks. And I'll have to do some research because I don't know with this particular plant if rocks or soil would be better. But it really just kind of needs that. And then soon-ish, I might get it a slightly bigger a slightly bigger pot. That's all it needs. That's all it needs, because I'm paying attention to it and I'm tracking its progress. And then I can just make a tiny tweak, which is like, no, like, I'm not looking at this as a problem. I'm not freaking out. It's just like, oh, hi, honey, I see that you're shaking a little bit. Let me just get you a little extra support. What does that mean in your business? Paying attention to your mindset before it goes out of control, paying attention to each client and noticing where it just needs a little thing, paying attention to how you run your team and noticing when you just need one more little thing, right? Whether that's one more task to delegate to your team, which could kind of be that like soil build-up support to hold it a little bit steadier now that it's gotten a little bigger. It could be one more team member, depending on how your business is structured. I don't think more is necessarily better. It just matters based on what's going on in your business. And so can you see how it could be really easy to take this plant and to slap a strategy onto it that doesn't really make sense, like to give it Miracle-Gro. It doesn't need to grow any faster. It's doing great, right? It doesn't really need anything extra. It needs the consistency of what I've been doing, the light and the sun and the water. And then it just needs a little tweak. And so can you see the difference? And I think this is a thriving plant that has space to keep growing at the pace that it wants to grow at, and it's completely sustainable. And I can just swap out a plant, another pot when I need it. And I can just grab a little soil here and there and adjust. Versus, while this is really wonderful, and I do also help coach my clients to realize when they're worn out and they do need to create bigger plant pots and other things to create the sustainability in their business so they're not so overworked. I do also have to remind them, like, this is success. This is, you built what you wanted to build. You created what you wanted to create. You have the clients. It's really just a matter of making some adjustments. And so oftentimes that starts with your mindset, making some adjustments so that everything can soften. And maybe one or two of these are clients that don't actually fit your work anymore. Or maybe one or two of these are clients that need an extra team member to support you or them, or whatever it is. Looking at what you've built and celebrating that is just as important as making the adjustments, however small or big that they may need to be. Okay, I'm just checking. I've got one more point here. So the other thing that I notice is, so oftentimes the reason that we get this big overflowing plant, again, these are good problems to have, but we might feel like the pot, right? The pot is like, oh, I'm squished in here. Oh, I want to feel free. I want to be able to spend time with my kids. I want to be able to have creative white space so that I can finally, you know, do some writing. I know a lot of my clients are writers, whether they are like me, like I'm a writer, but I don't write for a living, or people don't pay me to write. But I think it's so easy to feel like the pot. And it's important to also look at the plant and say, again, if my business was a plant, what would it look like? Like, this is beautiful. Look what you created. And it's very easy to have your mindset be the pot, the too small pot, right? Where your mindset is like still looking at your business as the business that fits in this pot. And the truth is, your business is growing with or without you. And oftentimes I find this happens so often when people get booked out, when people hit their next level income, when people hit like another level in their business in terms of exposure, like they get on a big stage to do a speaking event or something, or they get an opportunity to be featured in a magazine or on somebody's big podcast or whatever. When we hit those next level things, next levels in our business, I see this happens a lot where our brain just, because you have a brain and because you're human, our brains take a little longer to catch up to what we've built than maybe reality or maybe what's tangibly in front of you. And it's just because you have a habit, you have thought processes that are habits that were supporting your business when it was this size, right? The size of this pot. And now we know that this pot is just a little bit outdated, but maybe your mindset is too. And I oftentimes will say to my clients, like, this is just where you are now. You're actually not still over here. You're here. And the actions we need to take, however tinily different, are different. And we're caught up in the past mindset. We're caught up in the past habits, what we used to think our business looked like and needed from us, and the worries and the problems we were trying to solve around our business shift, oftentimes without us kind of recognizing where we are in time and space. And this happens to me too. And so often I need to be reminded, or I will remind a client, like, that sounds like thought processes, that sounds like habitual thinking from your business a year ago or 2 years ago. And remember that you are here. And so let's take the action around this as opposed to solving problems that don't exist, or solving the problem that you actually have in front of you, which is solving the right problem. Or another way to say it is taking the right action that your business needs from you right now. I don't love the concept of having problems, but I do love this idea of like paying attention to what is needed so that you don't create a big problem later. And as much as I love helping my clients unravel from problems, or unravel from, I created this in this way, but I don't want to do it like this anymore. I love helping people with the unraveling. And I really love helping people to not even have to unravel from something ever again, so that what you do build once you've unraveled is sustainable. You've got a pot that fits your business, and you've got pots standing by for when you need to make a tweak. And that just means you run a business that is a beautiful, flourishing garden, that even when you clip, your herbs, or you take a tomato off the vine to eat it, you know that another one's coming and another one's coming, and it's completely sustainable. Okay, I will leave you with that. I hope this was fun for you today. I hope this was thought-provoking, and I really encourage you to take a minute and think about where you are in business right now. And it's not a judgment, it's just let your business be a plant. Like, there's no wrong way to be a plant. We just want our plants to be feeling good and have the food and light that they need. And I'm not going to judge this plant for being, not being as big as this plant. Like, this plant's doing great. Everybody can just exist in their pot and do their own thing and serve the world in their own way. And so where can you just get a little more neutral with your plant, with your business, as if it's a plant? And look at it with a little bit more objective eyes. Feel into it a little bit. If my business was a plant, what would it look like? And then therefore, what does it need from me right now? If anything, keep the same thing. If it just needs you to continue to feed it and water it, great. And then if you want some support in that, if you want a new perspective on the plant that you've built, or you want some support in taking the right action, or even just identifying the right action, so much of my work and with my clients ends up being, it's not as obvious, but so much of it ends up being just making aligned decisions that really support your business right now, and also getting to where you want to go. I have free coaching calls available right now. If you've used one of my free coaching calls before, I also have a paid single session. It's $555 right now. I will be raising that rate, but I keep putting that off because I think that they're so beneficial to people. So $555 for a paid session, and you get a week of email support after that. So we can kind of you can keep processing and percolating, and we can keep having a conversation throughout the week. Or if you've never worked with me before, or you've never taken advantage of these single sessions while they're available now, hop on a free session with me, and we will bang something out for your business. We will figure out what your plant looks like and what what light or nutrients your business needs right now. Please let me help you to stop spinning on something. Please let me help you to not repot your plant when it's time. I believe in you. I believe in the work you're doing. If you're mission-driven, visionary, or entrepreneur, we need more of you. I want you to not just have a thriving business, but to enjoy running that thriving business. And that is so much a big part of my mission. So take the help. It's sitting here waiting for you. I don't always offer these, maybe a couple times a year. So take me up on it, and I'd love to support you. And I'll be back here next week with another live. Take care.